I want to talk about abandonment issues and self-worth. I've suffered through like abandonment my whole life. I've had people that stuck by me my whole life, but most people have either betrayed me, let me down, um, or never invested in me. So my path has been incredibly lonely. But I am an independent person anyway, so I think I cope better through situations like that, better than the majority of people. There's something you notice along the way, the more you recognize patterns, and a lot of the time it's envy. So it's really about seeing the qualities in yourself, even if other people are not going to see it themselves or they refuse to acknowledge. And that's a great place to start because really the biggest problem people have, and I notice it with mental health, I notice it with their self worth, and literally it can go even worse. A lot of time, people put too much weight on other people's perceptions of them, their projections, all these little things, their childhood. People hold too much attachment to a time, a place, a circumstance, a period of life, and they don't let it go. And I always look on and just think that's the thing that's holding you back the most in your life. That's literally what's holding you back, is that you're just not freeing yourself in the present to give yourself hope and a better life for the future. So the reality is, and I say it in my books, there's nothing for us in the past. You can learn for a moment. You can take some knowledge from the situations, and it's okay to reflect in that way, to heal, to overcome something, to use that as a tool, to gain experience and knowledge and wisdom. But to stay there and reminisce is such a waste of life. You can't change the past. So if something happened there, or people made you feel a certain way, you can't change the period. And like I said, too many people a lot of the time, they put too much significance on the opinion of other people. And it's something like, so that's why I say I'm a bit different to people, because I've never done that. I've never put anybody on a pedestal above me. I don't put people below me. I just see people as people. Some are flawed more than others. Some are achieving things more significant than others. But we all have potential in us, potential to sink and swim. So it's up to, it's just it's a lot of time it comes from a mindset. If you can just shift that mindset, all of a sudden, your opportunities and options and everything expands. But of course, we can be self-defeating, and then we regress, then we struggle, then we get in despair, then we can't find our way out, all because we chose a path of negativity. Choose a positive path. If you have to do things alone, then let's just get on with it. Yeah, maybe you want to moan to yourself. Okay, that's part of the process. We moan to ourselves. Like for me, I'm not here to sort of like go, I'm the Messiah, I'm crazy good, I'm great at this, I'm incredible. I'm not here to say that. I'm here to show that I get on with life on my own terms. And if someone aligns with my path, then I'm open to it. I'm not here to try to push everybody away, but I'm very sort of selective of who comes on my journey anyway. And I think that's a beautiful place to be, to see your own self-worth and recognize that it takes someone incredible to match that. You know, like I say, I get a lot of people that let me down in my life. And, maybe there's times when I've also let people down. There's a perspective shift here. There's like, we can't just go through life blaming other people. We're responsible for certain periods of our life, and the way we interact with people will have a bearing, a consequence on how they treat us. And that goes so many ways. Like this is such a diverse, complicated conversation that I could lose train of thought, and I'm hoping I don't. I don't prepare notes. I talk on a whim. But the way we treat people, it can have really, really big consequences. But it's about growing a thicker skin and not worrying if people are going to leave. If anything, I expect people to leave, so it doesn't surprise me, and I'm always ready to walk my own path. And I think that's a resilience. It'd be nice when people stay, and I think it'd be beautiful to experience something where you have a community of people, of wonderful people. But you're going to have to release a lot of not so good people. And the way I see it is sometimes we're born into periods of life where that was never our community anyway. It's like we cling so much trying to hope that we have community because other people have it, not realizing that was never ours in the first place. There was things we was going to learn amongst those people, and that was going to build our character. And then later on, maybe we align with community. But then the way I see it is some of us are nomadic. Maybe you're not supposed to. It's fine. We're not all supposed to mirror each other. So like I was saying there about, sometimes we're going to make mistakes. That's human nature. We're not perfect. We're going to make mistakes. And sometimes I speak too openly on things, and maybe it upsets someone. Maybe it's something I shouldn't say. Maybe I overstep boundaries that I shouldn't overstep. And of course, that'll rub people the wrong way. And and maybe that's disrespectful. Maybe I don't recognize the disrespect in it because I feel self righteous. All these little things. So we can all make mistakes, even if we mean with the best of intentions. But some people, of course, don't have the best of intentions. And it may very well be that people see things in us that maybe we're not aware of or we don't realize it would bother people. And it's not necessarily a negative on our side, but maybe a negative on theirs because their insecurity. They don't want competition. They like maybe your existence brings out an insecurity in other people, so they try to bring you down to lower your self-esteem, so you don't shine so bright. So there is such a thing as that, where maybe you're an incredible person, you have so much potential, but just people want to crush you, so you don't light so much. There's someone I talk about frequently, a love that didn't happen, and I don't put people on pedestals. I've already said that. I don't look up at people, don't look down at people, but I know their potential is incredible. Like, I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal here, but I know I'm intelligent. I know I can articulate. I know I communicate well. I know I can understand life and the situations I've been through. Again, I think better than most naturally. And that's just who I am. But I know they have that ability in themselves too. They are incredible. And if they see that potential in themselves, they'll be so powerful. But people in their life have dimmed them a lot too. They're starting to see it in themselves more and more, which is beautiful. But the potential in them for me is out of this world. I think, yeah, they got crazy potential, and I hope that one day they see it. That's just an example, really. That you can go through trauma, you can go through a crisis, you can go through the depths of hell, but you could be a shining light the whole way through it. You didn't even realize. But like I say, a lot of it stems from just not keep living in the past, because the past, the way I see it is, it will just anchors us. It anchors us to a period of time where maybe we don't love ourselves. Maybe we validate other people's opinions of us, even though realistically that's not true. It's an impression. People hold on to too much of a moment. Like I said, we can make mistakes, and if someone holds that against you your whole life, that doesn't mean that's necessarily your character. It was something that maybe happened. Maybe you did make a mistake. Maybe you reacted to something. People treat you bad long enough, you snap. So we all have the potential to be good and bad. We have temperament. Stresses can ignite something. So, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm transparent. I say that I am in the past, I still have the potential in me, but in the past I was more stressful. I was more of a hothead. I didn't regulate or control my emotions as well as I do now. So I was far more reactive. So if someone holds me accountable to the past version of myself, that's great, but that's not who I am anymore. I'm too intelligent for that now. I see what people are trying to do far quicker. But that older version, if it existed now, would be incredibly reactive, and I'd be so defensive. So anyway, someone else may be in that period right now, but they have the potential to grow beyond it. And sometimes it's letting go of people. So when I say sometimes, it is often. It is. You're going to have to, if you feel alone now, amongst a community of people that maybe don't suit you, or they're not elevating you, they're not supporting you, you're going to have to get ready to let them go. So you're going to be even more alone. But it's liberating. So I've let a lot of family go. I've let people go. So even like the last line of defense, the last ones that stand, you think, if I have to have no one, then that's my path. I'm fine with this. If that's my life, then fine. But if you look at what I'm achieving, it's even I find it quite remarkable. Of course, I do it in stages. It's not like just click your fingers, it's done. But at this point, I've done 6 books, which is 6 audio books. I started with podcasts. I'm thinking of adapting a lot of my videos into a podcast soon. That'll be maybe the next project. I've got other books in the pipeline. I've done an awful lot of videos. I'm self-made. I'm independent, so I do everything myself. So whether it's the decorating, whether it's putting furniture up, whether it's putting shelving up, putting everything and everything around my home, I've done myself. Now I'm not saying it's perfect, but literally, no one's helped me with these things. It's like I've done them. So often it surprises people because they think, oh, I thought you have to get so and so to do it for you. So why do I need them to do it? My attitude is, if someone else can do something, then all of us can do it. So okay, someone's more experienced and more skilled at it, but we can all learn. It's not like they're the messiahs; they're the only ones that can do that. So literally, I'll just get on with it. So if there's something I need to do, I'll just do it myself. Now, there is such a thing as hyper independence, which I wouldn't be surprised if that's the path I'm on already. You know, it can come from trauma, of course it can. But I think also within that process, we start to find our strengths. And the reality is, I know now how strong I am. Like, I literally could go through the rest of my life alone and I'd be fine. There'll be lonely periods, of course, part moments when you feel really, really sad, you get demoralized, you think, what's the point of life if this is all it is and all that. Then you pick yourself up and you realize that, we've still got life to live, still got things to achieve, and still things to learn, to experience. And it's like, maybe it's going to be different to the average person, then so be it. But the reality is I can do everything myself. I don't actually need someone to do anything for me. It's like, I'll just get on with it, you know. So, for instance, even if there's a bill of debt, I make the phone call. I come up for payment plan. I sort that problem out. If there's need decorating at home, I'll work on that. If I need income, then I'll find the job myself. I'll go to work. I'll go into this new circumstance. I'll elevate my life. If there's something else I want to do. So, for instance, I do my books. I sit down and do my videos. It's like, this is all me. No one's doing it. So you could argue rags to riches, and you can say it from the bottom to the top. And it's like, it's a step forward every time, isn't it? It's just not staying down the bottom forever. Doesn't mean there's nothing wrong. And it's the other thing. It's okay to be emotional. That's one thing I think too many people, if you cry, you seem as weak. Actually, it takes strength to show your emotions, I think. It takes a coward to hide themselves. So a lot of people, they act strong by being stoic, and they're not emotional, or they don't show their feelings, or they don't share what they're going through. And they think that tough exterior makes them strong. I think it makes you a shell of the person you are. And that's weak. Now, various stages. I'm not saying people have to start freaking going outside their comfort zone too quick, too soon. But it's getting to that point where you're just your authentic self, because it's liberating. Once you do that, even if people don't recognize it, which I think they probably will, whether they say it or not, is another thing. But you'll feel it in yourself, this light emitting from you. You'd feel so strong in your character, your divinity. It's your purity, You can't, I always say this, like, I don't care what someone thinks of me for good and bad. It's not for me to decide whether someone likes me, whether someone appreciates what I do. It's not, I don't have a bearing on any of that. It's like, what do I think of me? I think I'm pretty awesome. I'm not going to sit. And that's the other thing as well. Stop trying to. People do this as well. They dim their light to make other people comfortable, because it seems it's perceived as arrogant, isn't it? You say, "Oh, I love who I am. I love all the things I've achieved. I love the person, the character I have. I like the way I see life. I like the way I overcome this situation." And then, but other people's reaction will be, "Oh, look at them, full of themselves. I'm sorry. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't feel that way. I should try to be self-deprecating because it makes you more comfortable." That's what I'm getting at. That's what people are like. They will literally try to burn out your flame because it makes them uncomfortable. Because maybe you're picking up, you're presenting qualities that they don't possess. And you know what I mean? So, like, when you're alone and people abandon you, it can make you feel small, that you're not worth something. But maybe you're not worth something to them. Okay, they're not worth something to me. And that's how it goes, It's like, I think you can't go through life expecting everybody to like you. It's not going to happen. Even if you're like the kindest person in the world, there'll always be someone that takes exception to it. There'll be someone that maybe looks at it and thinks no one can be that sweet. Or they're too nice. It's just, it rubbed me the wrong way. There'll always be someone. So the reality is, it's not for us to worry ourselves about who likes us and who doesn't. It's not of our concern. People have their own reasons, whether it's valid, whether it's not. It's of no concern. It really isn't. It's like, me personally, I just couldn't care less. I know why I do things. I know what I've been through. I know my dreams, my aspirations, my goals, and I know what I'm doing in the present. And it's like, it doesn't really matter if anyone else gets it. It's like, I don't care. It's like when I leave jobs and I do situations that most people around me just think's chaotic. They don't see the big picture. They just don't get it. And they'll try to coerce me, maybe not even negatively intentioned, but they'll try to coerce me to do what they think should be happening, because that's how they perceive life. And sometimes it is wanting the better for you, but sometimes it's often we've got to think for ourselves. Like, that might suit them, it doesn't suit me. Don't worry, I've got it sorted. I know what I'm doing. And it's that confidence in yourself, So the reality is, it's important we're not trying to mirror other people. If you're going to mirror someone, you become a clone of them. If you actually look at most people, everybody's flawed. Everybody has a flaw. No one's perfect. So effectively, if you try to copy, clone, mirror someone else, you're just copying their their flaws rather than being your purest self. And the way I see it is, I mean, once you're wholeheartedly yourself, you'll naturally attract um, similar people. It'll take time. It'll take time. Like I said, everyone's different though. You know, my level of comfort alone I might have a higher threshold of that than other people. That's fine. That's fine. It's like if other people need community, it's like there's a give and take. There's a level of give and take in life. You know, how much I don't think it's particularly a negative. I don't. I just think how much resilience you have is the difference. But it's not to say that that's really beneficial. Yeah, I obviously think it is because that's who I am, and I'm a highly resilient person. But I wouldn't say it's totally negative for someone to have less resilience. So, for instance, let's say it gets really, really lonely, and you just want you want some community around you. Like for me personally, I won't back down an inch. I will if it ain't the right people for me, I'm not backing down. Some people, it might just be a bit tough to go that far alone. So maybe you want some people around you. So you have to keep taking pit stops. Because the way I see it is if I've got chaotic people around me or people misaligned, they're just going to derail and slow me down. In my life, I just want to achieve as much as I can in this life. I want to be the ultimate version of myself, the purest version of myself by the time I leave this planet. I'm sure I'm getting close to it, but there's always layers. So I just feel if the more people I surround myself that aren't aligned, the slower my process. I don't want people derailing me and slowing me down. I'd rather just take the harder path. But I could understand how some people would find that too hard. So I don't see how there's anything wrong with it. It's just understanding the consequence. So if you've got, let's say you've been alone for a good few years. Like I've been alone for about 8 years. So like I'm saying I can go the rest of my life. It's fine. I'm not saying easy, but it's fine. But someone else might go maybe 2 years. They think I can't do this on my own. I can't do it alone. Like it's a messing with my mind. Well, then, okay, you can derail slightly if you haven't found your tribe and you can still hang out with some people and have some experiences, knowing full well it's probably going to end up toxic because if they're not for you, but maybe it just helps you in a period and then you can let them go and then keep moving forward. But sometimes people have attachment issues. There's a whole mirage of issues when you align yourself with the wrong people. Sometimes they've refused to go. Now you've got a problem because if you set boundaries, this is all other issues I don't want to sort of go down today. But if you don't set boundaries, it's hard to establish them later. That's another thing because people then have an image or a perception of you as a specific character, and if they don't think you have resilience and strength, they'll keep testing your boundaries, and eventually you're going to have to stand up and stand firm, to shoulder against them. And it might not be a place you feel comfortable. Again, if you hadn't set that situation in motion in the first place, you wouldn't have had to deal with it like that. But we reap what we sow. And that's what I say about like we hold ourselves accountable as well, because a lot of people maybe they don't recognize that they instigated that situation by being involved in it in the first place. Maybe you didn't see the outcome and people hate themselves well, but either way, we place ourselves where we place ourselves, and we have to take accountability for the circumstance, even though maybe that person's unhinged and we'll blame them for it because like I shouldn't have to put up with this. You should know when to stop. Yeah, that's valid. That's valid because we're holding them accountable, but we also have to hold ourselves accountable that we're in the situation as well. And that's what I do with my life all the time. I obviously I get fired up when there's a situation. Then I self-reflect and think, okay, how did that happen? How did that situation occur? Why did I place myself there? What could I have done different? Should I have reacted to this? There's all the things. And then later on, when you have other instances, we know how to react better in another circumstance. Not always perfect. See, sometimes we're going to relapse. Sometimes we're not going to learn the lesson straight away. All these things. But eventually we're just building our character. And I recognize that, in all honesty, I piss a lot of people off. I do. Because I'm outspoken, I'm direct. Some people don't like that. People like to be fake. They like to pretend. They like to talk behind your back and smile to your face. I'm totally opposite to that shit. I'd rather just be totally transparent. If we don't like each other, let's just say it as it is. Let's just stay away from each other. Let's just cut that tie. Let's stop pretending we get along. Let's stop pretending you support me. Let's just stop pretending you really like me at all. Let's just get on with it. Like, you do you, I do me. It's fine. I just find it's far quicker to get on with life. I've got no time for it. It's BS, isn't it? It's like, what's the point of us going around this roller coaster of time that I can just get on, cut the tie, let's get on with this shit. I don't care. I really don't care. How you react to me, I couldn't care less. I just don't. and it's just that's how I am. Um, so, like I say, there is abandonment issues along the way, but I think the more you build your character, the less you care. So if you can put a barrier up, and I'm just trying to think how I cope through life, but not. It's not like I specifically do that, but I can understand how maybe a visual would help people. Is I don't live in the past. It's not a place I find any sort of point. I'll learn from it for a moment. So, like, if someone's put me through something or I've done something, whatever it is, I'll learn from the situation, and then I just focus solely on my present, and I have a direction for my future, and that's where I am. So, if someone thinks, "Oh, he's so resilient," look how much he's achieved and done. Well, because I'm just focused on achieving. A lot of other people just focus on self pity and worrying about the past. Now, when I say self pity, I'm not trying to sort of like minimize someone's experience. It's just they don't lift themselves out of it. You keep looking back, what are you going to find? Misery. If misery was in the past and you keep looking at it, you're just looking in the mirror at misery. You're looking at yourself as a shell of the person you are. You're not even seeing how amazing you could be. Now, close off the past, look at yourself in the mirror, and tell yourself, I'm a fucking powerhouse. I know I can do an awful lot in this life. I don't care what anyone says about me. You know, and then you start thinking about your character, not what people have told you, what you know about yourself. Because I know an awful lot about me. I know I'm authentic. I know integrity and justice are everything to me. I don't mess about. I'm very direct. I'm very outspoken. I have high morals. I'm very driven. I am opinionated. But then there's also a lot of compassion and love for the right people. I'll support them and uplift them to the ends of the earth. If I know they're honest and sincere, and they're loyal. There's so many aspects to me that people just don't see. I mean, I can be really silly and goofy and funny, but I have to have the right situation for that. But I can be ridiculously ridiculous. Like, people just think I'm immature. They wouldn't even realize how intelligent I am. There's many aspects to me, who I am. So I know when I look in the mirror, you're pretty bloody awesome in a world that's incredibly toxic and corrupt. People think it's arrogant, full of yourself. Maybe we need to be. If no one else is going to see it in me, I've got to bloody well see it. So I don't care. People want to keep trying to keep me small. I've had enough of that shit, mate. So that's what people need to do. You literally look in the mirror and go, I'm bloody awesome. Because I think often it's the little traits that we have along the way that we minimize because it's just so natural. A lot of the time your beautiful gifts are what's natural. So you don't put a lot of emphasis on it. But other people, sometimes you just got to look at other people and realize they don't have it. If you have compassion, you have a kind heart, you're caring. These, for me, are some of the most beautiful traits you could have, because most people are toxic, vengeful, spiteful. They're just narcissistic. So if you have a pure, kind heart, you are a beacon of hope in this world. And you should be looking in the mirror and going, I am a nice person. I'm sick of people telling me I'm horrible, I'm not worth it. They've got cold hearts. I have a warm heart. And I'm going to start from there. Because you don't have to be all headstrong and resilient like I am. You don't have to freaking be like this. Because that's who I am. Don't mirror me. It's like, just look in the mirror and see how beautiful you are, inside and out. And that's a great starting point. Because it's about like losing all those layers of what people have told you are. People have told me I'm this. People have told me. But that's not true. That's not true. I'm not that. Maybe I had periods of my life when I've behaved like that because that's what they brought out of me. It's like it's a process of removing layers to become who you are. And I think once you get comfortable with who you are, no one can start putting that shell back on you, And that's how I see it. And that's how I live. So I've had that in my life as I start ascending and I'm doing better with my life and I start finding out more about who I am and focusing more on my strengths, my gifts. There was always people trying to pull me back because they wanted an old version of me, which was a shell of the person I am because it made them comfortable. And I just refused to be their comfort. It was like, no, that you're trying to keep me small. I'm too big to be kept small. I'm going to turn into the butterfly now, thank you. It's time for me to fly away. That's literally what it is. It's like, just become that butterfly. Get out of that cocoon. Get out of that caterpillar phase. Be your butterfly. Literally, the world's your oyster. I think you just got to look at it like, don't keep looking back. You can look back in moments, and you can do that, and you can reminisce, and you can think about how sad that situation was, and I wish that didn't happen. We can hope and wish, but you have to still make peace with what happened and just get on with it, So you can still walk around with a heavy heart at times, but it's like, don't give up hope of the future and give yourself every chance to have a better life. Because I often say this as well, like, if you still carry trauma and you're still processing, that's fine. It's part of life. It's part of the journey. But like, for instance, someone could thrust me in the middle of my trauma, and you could put me in a mansion. You could give me the family of my dreams. So, if you clicked your fingers, it happened overnight. You just woke up, you're in a different life. That doesn't fix a problem. That doesn't fix a problem because I'm still not that person that's ready to integrate with that yet. If you're not ready, then you still got a lot of healing to go. So you might look on at other people and think, I wish I had their life. I wish I had their life. Don't worry about their life. You need to worry about your life and build yourself that resilience, that character. Embody who you are. And then if that opportunity comes to you one day, it's organic, it's natural. You literally just step into it. It's who you are. But if you're still not that person, you'll have insecurities. You won't feel worthy of the love around you. You feel like people are always going to leave. You don't feel they can love you as much as they're showing they can. You'd think they're playing a character and it's fake because you haven't experienced that level of self-love and having people appreciate you. So it's a gradual process. So being thrust into that situation in the click of a finger wouldn't be natural, would it? Likewise, if you come into wealth and you can't handle money, how could you possibly acquire money and acquire wealth if you keep hemorrhaging money every moment? If you're always spending, you can't harvest money because it always goes as soon as it arrives. There's this whole process of building our character and getting stronger and stronger. And a lot of time that's from ourselves. No one can do that for you. That's really what it comes down to. It's like building our own character, and it takes time. I've been on my healing journey for 8 years. I'm not saying it took 8 years to get to where I am, although the refinement, of course, has, because I'm always healing, always growing. But it was intense periods where I'm having to sort of like, I'm in tears. There's intense times when my freaking head is going to explode. I'm incredibly depressed. There's periods we go through trauma and you think life's lost meaning. Like, what's the point of life? I'm not doing it all over again. But you sometimes just got to look at like life as like chapters of a book. Okay, maybe you lost an incredibly beautiful chapter that you really held so precious to. But you've still got bonus chapters. You've still got extra chapters to live and experience and have something else in your life. That doesn't mean you completely forget the past or it didn't happen. You're not rewriting history. You're creating new chapters. So we'll have bad chapters in our journey. We'll have some beautiful chapters, but we've still got new ones to write. And it's just keep going forward because you never know what's around the corner. I think people just think everything's going to take too long, and it's like every day is a different day. Every hour is a different hour, every minute a minute. It's like you just don't know when something's going to happen. And when I look at my life and all the beautiful things that have happened in stages, it's happened out of nowhere, literally. Like a minute, a second, something happened that it didn't seem possible. Boom, you get offered that job. Boom, someone enters your life. It could be the love of your life. Boom, there's travel opportunities. It's just anything and everything. You just don't know when life is about to change. And I think the reality is it's really important that we give ourselves every possibility and every option to live the better life. But it starts with ourselves. So people might look at me now and think how resilient he is. Like, I'm articulate, I can communicate. Some people have said I've got a nice voice. It's easy to hear. But it's taken time to become my purest self. Like I said, you look at me 10 years ago, I was a hothead. So like it's just growth. So if you look at that, when I was at my lowest, I felt like my head's going to explode. Life's lost meaning. I think if you reflect upon that, if you're not looking at me with envy eyes or horrible hatred, and you can actually maybe see some positivity within me, maybe it had been a bit of a waste to have not done the healing and got to this stage of my life. And if I can get to this stage of my life, then anyone can get to this stage of their life. It's still about investing in ourselves. And like I said, if people are not going to invest in us, then maybe we should get on with investing in ourselves anyway. And I think the priority should be ourselves anyway. I say that all the time. It can look negative. It makes you look selfish. But if we can't be of service to ourselves, we're not going to be of service to other people. So there's no point walking around a shell of who we are. So sometimes it's going to take removing ourselves from people. They won't understand why we're doing it. They'll think we're weird. They'll project onto us, maybe make derogatory statements, gossip. But you just got to let that thing happen, I've been in and out of jobs, and especially at the early stage of my healing journey, I had people gossiping about me, especially people from my past, people who were being spiteful to try and make me feel small, to make themselves feel popular and cool. And I just let people spout their nonsense. It was like, I see the bigger picture, and I know the healing process is a journey. It was never going to happen. It was never just going to happen at the click of a fingers. So there's going to be periods where people are doing better than you, and it's like, make peace for that. Okay, they're doing better than me. It's not a competition. It's not a race. I'm here to just elevate my own life, and I recognize that where I am at the moment is going to require a reset. To require a reset means I'm just going to have to let all the chips fall. And I'm going to have to be potentially in poverty. I'm going to have to be isolated. I'm going to have to get back to bare bones, basics. And I'm going to rebuild myself from the bottom up. So yeah, when I'm at the bottom, I'm an easy target. Let's see how much of a target I am when I'm at the top. Now let's see people come at me. You know, I'm too quick-witted. I'm too sharp. I'm too resilient in myself. You know, I just don't care. And I think hopefully by me talking about things like this, it'll give people that strength in themselves to see their character. Because this isn't me trying to sort of like boast like a freaking gorilla and say, look how cool and quality I am. Like, great. It's about showing people that have the qualities in themselves. But you have to be honest with yourself. You know, there's no point being a toxic person and then convincing yourself you're great. You're going to have to remove layers of toxicity, dependency and things, you know, because people have attachment issues. There's no point saying you know, you convince yourself you're independent, you can cope, you can deal with this. But really, you've got deep attachment issues to people. You can't let go and you're freaking stalking people, you know, because that's like delusion, isn't it? It's like, no, you have to let people go. You have to give people free will to do their own path, because all this stuff where I talk about like being authentic and following our own path and being our own hero, uplifting our own lives, you have to appreciate that everybody else has that in themselves too. So we're not here to control people. We're not here to force people on our journey and to fit how we see them as characters. We're not like playing a video game like The Sims and we just drop people in our life and say, right, you need to stay with me because I like you. And that's how people have treated us. You have to be prepared to let people go. It's literally allow free will. There's going to be times when you're going to feel hurt. And there's going to be times when, you know, it's going to get upsetting. But again, that's challenging your ego, your pride and ego. You have to let that go. Your ego is actually your worst enemy sometimes. It does it to protect itself, but really sometimes it's to our own downfall. Because it just becomes, you lose sight of reality. You know, if you love someone and they leave, it's really heartbreaking. I always say that. Losing love is one of the hardest things we'll ever go through in life. But with me, it's like, as hurtful as it is, as much as it alters maybe a narrative or a feeling or a vision you have, I only want people who want to be with me on my journey. I don't want someone who doesn't want to be there. So although it hurts, it's like, okay, because it would be too heavy to have people who don't want to anyway, because they'll always be battling against. And it's like, this is too exhausting. I just want to flow with the tide, wherever the waves take me. If people have to leave because the waves come crashing down, then they need to leave. I wish you well on your journey, because we all have a journey in life, wherever their life takes us. So we've got like a fork in the road. We've got windy. So some people be on certain stages. We'll keep winding. We'll keep taking detours, turn. Other people are doing the same thing. They've got their own little path to go. By the end of life, we all got our own little life story. There'll be times when our paths merged and we're part of each other's story, but there are other times when maybe they don't have any clue about paths we've took. So people have an impression of us at a given stage, but they're not there every day with us. People only see snapshots of our life. Rarely is anyone there the whole way through. So only we know what we've been through. And only we truly know our character. And we are the ones that know our dreams. And I think people are capable of a lot. Only they see it themselves.